Hello everybody. If you clicked onto this video, let me say you are already ahead of 99% of people, right? Most people out there say they want a better looking physique. They say they want a disciplined mind and to be confident and strong in the way they look and the way that they feel. But not a lot of people take steps forward. Or if they do, they take a very minimum step forward and then maybe the same step back. My name is Max Sherman, and I spent years as a skinny, unconfident kid, unmotivated, stuck in bad habits, bad discipline, and I had nothing going for me, nothing to show for it. And I've spent the past years trying to perfect what I've learned, and now I teach it to my clients. And if you're watching this video, I'm going to teach you how to go from skinny or in a bad place with your physique and unmotivated and unconfident to jacked, strong, looking good, feeling good mentally and physically. So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to go over the 4 systems that I use every single day, and you can start implementing them in the next 24 hours. All right, guys, let's get into how to finally build the body and the discipline that you desire, right? These are the 4 non-negotiable systems that I use and my clients use every single day. That's going to take all the guesswork out of it, all of the thinking and procrastination, right? We have our 4 systems, we have our 4 plans, and all you have to do is execute. The only thing I can say is you can watch this video, you can watch it 10 times, you can watch it 100 times. It's not going to matter unless you start applying these rules, right? A lot of you guys, and me especially, I used to do this, scroll and see, these discipline hacks or these workouts or all this great advice, but I never applied it to my own life, and that's why nothing changed. Watching this video is not going to do shit. It will educate you, but it won't mean anything if you don't apply it. All right? So grab a pen and paper, grab a notebook, and start to change. Here we go. Number 1, intentional training. All right? A lot of you might know, but if you don't, this was me when I was a kid. And this isn't even so young. I was maybe 15, 16 here. Look at my arms. Like a freaking skeleton, okay? A lot of people, they came from being skinny, right? And props to anybody who transformed their body. But a lot of times you see kids when they were skinny and they had some sort of muscle definition. You can see that there was potential, right? For me, I never had that. I was skin and bone, no muscle insertions. You can see my shoulders don't even come out farther than my torso. My arms are literal sticks. I mean, look at that, bone sticking out, and I was eating. It's not like I had a bad diet. I was just a naturally skinny kid with a fast metabolism until I started training, right? So if you are skinny like me, or you are on the heavier side, these logics will still apply, but let's get into it, right? Number 1, under training, okay? You have to be training enough where it's going to matter. Doing a workout one day and then waiting a few more and not doing another workout or having an inconsistent schedule is not going to get you any progress, right? No matter what your split is, you have to make sure that you're training the muscles till failure and enough frequency to make an actual change. And that brings us to our second point, low intensity. I was not training till failure. I didn't know what failure meant, right? Your mind plays a big part of where that point of failure is. So you have to make sure not only is your body going to failure, but your mind is going to failure, and you're pushing yourself to that point where you physically cannot get enough. I always tell this to my clients, but if you're going to spend the time to put on your gym clothes and to take your pre-workout and to drive to the gym and spend an hour there, right, and then drive back, you might as well make the most of it, right? You might as well go balls to the walls and push as hard as you can to make that workout worth it. If not, then why are you training, right? Why are you training if you're not going to give it your all? And number 3 here, I wasn't tracking my movements. So I would just follow, maybe my buddy had a plan, I would do what he did one day and then, I saw a cool Instagram reel, so I'm going to try that workout. And it's not to say that different workouts don't benefit different muscles, and it's not bad to switch things up, but you have to have movements that you stick to, working on compound movements, right? So bench press, dips, squats, muscles that are involving multiple muscle groups, and track them. Track your weight, keep pushing up weight and intensity, and making sure you're not just doing a workout, forgetting about it, and then coming in and doing something else with a completely different weight. Make sure you're evolving your workouts, right? And this is me when I was skinny. We're going to go over here, honorable mention. This is Fat Max. Look at that. Holy crap. Whew. And let me tell you, in this photo, I was weaker than I am now, heavier than I am now, holding a lot of extra body fat. And things I was doing wrong here was inconsistent training, intensity in the wrong areas, and poor discipline. All right, so I wasn't training. I was training intensely. I knew more of how to push myself to failure, but I wasn't doing it where it mattered. And I didn't take the time to consistently do my workouts, and I was eating in too much of a surplus here. So as you can see, I was storing a lot of extra fat. So, and this is my current physique. And what are the 3 things that I'm doing? The 3 things that you guys can do. Consistent training. All right. This is number 1. My split right now is a 4-day split followed by a rest day, and then I repeat. That works for me. That works for my lifestyle. That works for the outcome I'm trying to achieve. So I stick with it. If you have a super busy schedule or you can only get to the gym a certain amount of days, don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't plan yourself a crazy, intricate workout plan if you're just going to fail in a week or 2. I would rather you guys train 3 times a week and not miss a single session than try to cut out this, 6 or 5 or 6 day training split that you're going to, miss half of it. You want to make sure you're making a split based on your lifestyle and based on your ability to knock it out. And then number 2, proper intensity. Okay, pushing myself to failure. And purposeful movements, tracking my movements, making sure every time I was coming in the gym, I was progressing in weight. I was sticking to the core muscle groups, right? A few core exercises and really just progressing in them. And you can see, right? I'm pretty lean in this photo, but my arms have some decent size, right? You can see the striations in my shark gills, as you say, my obliques and my abs. It's all looking full and filled out. And these photos are not too long apart. I don't know exactly when these photos were taken, but like I said, it is not impossible. And I will say, this photo and this photo are 4 months apart. 4 months apart, okay? From that, or this, to that, right? Just from consistent training, proper intensity, and purposeful movements, all right? So making sure you're picking a split that you can stick to, training intensely, and not skipping a day. Number 2, proper nutrition and recovery. All right, look at that plate. Look at that plate. Whole foods, right? Nice and satiating. My number 1 rule is eliminate 85% of processed foods, right? Because if you're skinny like me, you think you have to bulk, right? And I made the mistake of doing a dirty bulk. So I was eating I honestly want to say 50% crap food, 50% healthy food, and that turned my physique into this. You guys don't want to look like this, right? But you also don't want to look like this. You want to make sure you're eating enough. My rule is always eliminate 85% of processed foods, sticking to whole food, single ingredient foods. Because number 1, I want to be big, I want to be muscular, but I also want to be healthy. An important thing for me is longevity and feeling good cognitively, functionally, and I feel better when I'm fueling myself with healthier foods. So sticking to whole foods is going to be the number 1 rule. Treat your nutrition like you're an athlete, right? If you look at your plate and you say, I wouldn't feed this to Tom Brady, then don't fucking eat it, right? Make sure you're eating whole foods. Now, the exception, protein powder. Not to say protein powder isn't a whole food. There's some very healthy whey proteins on the market, but you have to use it as a tool, not a crutch. I found very bad results when I would put protein powders into my meals, and I used it to get to my daily amount of protein. I found very, very bad results when I used protein powder too much. So if you're getting, more than 50% of your protein intake from powders and, bars and stuff like that, that's no good. You don't want to use it too much, or like I said, then it becomes a crutch. Then you plan your meals around that scoop of protein powder or that shake. Now, that being said, it is not something that you should eliminate altogether. There is definitely room to put protein powders in, but make sure you're not doing it too much. And another thing that's helped me is following macros. All right, so meal plans are tough because if I want to eat, let's just use basic stereotype meal, chicken and rice for lunch every day. And God forbid I went to the store and they were out of chicken and rice. I'm not going to know what to do. I'm not going to know what those foods contained so I can make up something else, and it's going to throw me off. Or let's say your friends want to go out to dinner, and God forbid you want to have a piece of pizza, or you want to have a cheat meal, right? You don't have to eliminate all the crap foods to make good results. But with macros, if you know the certain amount of proteins, fats, and carbs you need in a day, then you can plan your other meals strategically so you can account for that pizza with friends or, family dinner or maybe a couple drinks. Whatever that is, the goals you have to hit. So it's not like, if it's not in your meal plan, you can't eat it. And along with that is eating enough protein. So 0.8 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight is a super, super basic calculation that you can do and just hit it every single day. I have found to eat, if you're skinny, eat a little more than your body weight. If you're skinny, your desired body weight. So let's say you're, I'll use my numbers. I was 110 in high school and I wanted to get up to like 150. So I was eating 150, 160 grams of protein a day. So that's why that 1.5, can kind of be a little bit more than. And I always say, you cannot have enough, but you can't have too much protein. So protein is carb inducing. So after a certain point, that protein gets broken down into glycogen and it's used as energy. So you'd rather be closer to that 1.5 mark and just use that protein for energy versus being too low where your muscles aren't able to digest it. And number 2 with proper nutrition is supplements. So what I always say is supplement where your body lacks or the natural diet lacks. So in the average American diet, we do not get enough creatine, we don't get enough fish oil or magnesium, right? A lot of people aren't eating, super oily fishes every day. They're not eating, nuts and legumes and enough leafy greens to get enough magnesium, and they're not eating enough red meat to get enough creatine. So I supplement for these things, right? I take 5 to 10 grams of creatine every day. I take fish oil pill in the morning and magnesium at night. These things are basics that the body needs that, like I said, we just don't get enough of it. So make sure you supplement there. Another one I do is vitamin D, but only in like the fall to spring range. So the sun produces vitamin D and we get enough of it in the summer. So I don't take it in the summer, but in the winter it's lacking, right? My immune system's down. The sun's farther away, so we don't get as much of it. So I supplement for it. And then a super big hack if you're trying to gain weight is electrolytes and hydration. So if you guys follow on the Instagram, every single day I have lemon water with sea salt and my creatine. Why do I do this? Because when you're sleeping, your metabolism's very, very slow. It's asleep as well. So when you wake up, you almost have to kickstart it to get it to start working, to start to make you hungry. So I use electrolytes as that sort of tool. So when I wake up, that's the first thing I do. Now, if I didn't do this, I would not be hungry for that first meal. And what happens if you don't eat a big breakfast? Your stomach stays small and you're going to have a small lunch and a small dinner. But if you get the electrolytes, right, fasten your metabolism, you get hungry, you eat that big breakfast, then your stomach shrinks, then you get hungry for that big lunch, and then it shrinks, you get hungry for that big dinner. So I use this as a tool. You can use it, in between breakfast and lunch, in between lunch and dinner. Anytime you find it's hard to get those calories in and you're feeling like you can't eat enough, give your body electrolytes, give it hydration so it will work for you and it makes you more hungry. And a basic, water intake is body weight times 0.5 ounces a day, or 1 ounce times kilograms. And then I always add like 20 to 30 ounces for hard training and creatine. So me, myself, I have about, let's say, maybe 90 to 100 ounces a day. And that's going to keep you, like I said, it's going to keep you satiated throughout the day, keep the muscles full, keep the brain working, and all that good stuff. Recovery, I didn't put a little slide, but when it comes to sleep, 7 to 9 hours, non-negotiable, all right? Like I said, I'm training for health. I don't just want to look good. I want to feel good, and I want to be at my top performance. And that comes from 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. 9's a little extreme. If you had a big day, maybe you need it, but make sure you're sleeping enough and you're resting enough. Because guess what? If you're doing these two things hard, if you're training and eating hard, you best be sure that you're letting your body recover, or else your progress is not going to get where it needs to. All right, number 3 is self-accountability. Now, for a lot of people, my clients especially, I am their accountability. A lot of people struggle to do it on their own. They don't know the exact systems that they need to use to get them to their goals. So they work with a coach or somebody who is able to track their progress and push them forward. But if you don't have a coach, here's some basic things you can do to keep yourself accountable. One thing I do every morning is I write shit out, okay? Write down your thoughts, write down your goals, write down your dreams, write down where you want to be, and put it in front of paper. Because your thoughts, all right? An average person has about 6,000 thoughts that they catch a day. That is not enough to be able to, remember for the next day and to make change on. So write down the key ones. When you wake up, dump all your stuff on a piece of paper. Write all your thoughts down. Write out your week plans, your day plans. And, number 2, track your progress. All right? If you had a crappy day, you got to write down why did you have a crappy day? How can you improve on it? And make sure you're always looking back on it, right? It's like a personal, like a video game. You have your stamina bar, your health bar, your attack bar, whatever it is. And each day you get a certain level of those increased. So you have to track how much it's going up so you know what changes you have to make the next day. Like I said, another one, set weekly goals. So on Sunday, I'll get out my paper, or my notebook rather, and I'll write down the 3 things I'm going to focus on that week, and the 3 things I'm going to accomplish. So then each day when I flip and I open my notebook, I have my goals at the top, so I know, all right, every day I have to put time aside to work on these set things, so I'm making sure I'm getting the progress I want. And number 4 down here is celebrate small wins. I went through this phase a lot where I was just always making progress, and I was never stopping to appreciate the small things that I was doing. There's a quote that says, "You've already achieved goals you said would make you happy." And this is super important because a lot of people set goals, but when they reach them, they don't stop and appreciate it, and they just keep going and going and going, and they're never satisfied, right? There's a difference between satisfaction and still being motivated. Just because you reached a goal doesn't mean you have to stop and sit back. But it is crucial to celebrate these small wins, or else it's just going to feel like an endless, hell tunnel that you're just, keep pushing through, and there's never good results. And then number 5 is find habits that align with your goals. So if you're someone who wants to look good and you want a better physique, maybe you shouldn't be going out every night and drinking or smoking or, hanging out with people that are going to get fast food all the time. Make sure you find healthy habits to replace with your old ones so they align with the things you want to achieve. All right. And number 4 is having a growth mindset. Number 1 thing everybody should do, and I'm going to link a little form at the end of this so you can figure out for yourself, but find your purpose, right? Why do you do what you do? Why do you wake up every day? What do you want out of life? What do you want your body to look like, your mind to feel like, your family, relationship goals? What do you want for yourself? A lot of people don't stop and do this simple task, and they're constantly following other people's routine or lifestyle because that's what they have, right? That's what they've set. They have their priorities and they're working to achieve this outcome, and that comes from their routine. If you copy their routine but you want a different outcome, then you're not going to be happy when you get there. So you have to figure out what you want out of yourself, and that's how you move forward every day. Move forward with purpose towards the things that you want to achieve, right? What do you want out of your life? Body, mindset, lifestyle, overall outcome. Me specifically, I one day want a wife, I want kids, I want a house, I want X amount income, I want my body to look a certain way, and I have all this shit written out so I know every day what I'm going for, what I'm attacking towards. And accept discipline and create a positive relationship with it. So a lot of the times people hear discipline and they just think of, putting their head down and grinding and, no fun, no distractions. And you almost get a negative relationship with it because it's seen as a bad and hard thing. And yes, discipline is a mindset, and anyone can do it, but the way I've gone about it is making discipline a non-negotiable, right? So if I tell myself I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out. Now I can either say, oh, I'm disciplined, I'm going to work out, it's going to suck, I'm going to hate it. Or I say, all right, I'm disciplined, that means I'm working out. But let me have some fun with it. Let me make it something I want to do. Let me form a positive relationship towards the discipline so it doesn't feel like a chore every day. Every day I wake up and I, drink my electrolytes and I do my workout and I work all day and I work on my business. That's disciplined, but I've formed a positive relationship with it. So it's something I look forward to doing. All right. So if we go back and you have your training routine that you have to do and you have your food you have to eat, instead of saying I have to, and it's something I need to do and I'm going to push myself, for it, make sure you're thinking of, what do you want, right? So know what goal you're reaching, what you have to do to get there, and then just think positively about it. And next, I kind of mentioned this before, but eliminate distractions. So for me, a big thing was not hanging out with certain people that weren't pushing me to my goals, right? And, this can go both ways. So maybe you don't have a friend that likes to work out or something. Find somebody in the position that you want to be in or the position that you're striving to be in and kind of, work with them. Find people who are going to align with the things you want to do and eliminate the bad stuff. It doesn't mean completely, it doesn't mean you have to ditch your homeboys and your day ones to lock in and just not talk to people, but make sure you have your priorities straight and you're eliminating enough of the distractions where it's not making you not achieve the things that you want. And last one is always evolving yourself, right? So like we said before, when we were saying celebrate the small wins, when you break through that ceiling, right, that ceiling becomes your floor, and you always are pushing forward, and you're always evolving your body, your mindset, your lifestyle. Never think that once you implement everything here, it's going to be done. You're right. You're never going to reach a checkpoint where anything's going to feel completely easy and you have no tasks on your plate and you can just sit down. Know that you're always going to be progressing forward and have this, thing in your head that tells you you always have to evolve. You always have to get better. Going back to the character analogy, tell yourself that you are this person and these are your bars and you just want to keep pushing them up and up and up, right? There's no level 100. You just keep going until, you're at your end of your life and you've made enough of yourself where you're proud and you're happy, right? So these are the 4 non-negotiable systems. Like I said, guys, please, please, please don't just watch this video. Start implementing them, okay? And I'm going to make it even easier for you. don't do all of this tomorrow, you're going to fail, right? If you start to bite off more than you can chew, you're not going to be able to get it done. You're going to quit within a week. So for training, if you don't train at all, I want you to train once this week, right? If you're already training, pick 3 days, an hour long, push high intensity, track your movements. All right, so whatever you're doing now, you're going to take one step forward. Nutrition, right? Get at least one day out of the week of 85% whole foods, and just see how you feel. Okay, see how you feel. Look at where your diet is and start to add in one of these supplements. I'd say add in creatine. And just for self accountability, write out your thoughts at the end of the day. Write out your thoughts and growth mindset. I'm going to link the form down here. All you have to do is fill it out, print it out, and keep it on you. I don't care if you set it as your screensaver or whatever it is, but we're going to find your purpose, all right? So you're going to train 1 to 3 times. You're going to have one day of 85% of processed foods eliminated, and you're going to take creatine. You're going to write your thoughts out at the end of the day, and I'm going to link a form down here, all right? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you ever have any sort of questions or concerns, or you maybe want to see what my coaching is like and how I take my clients from being skinny and unmotivated or out of shape and have bad habits to someone who's disciplined, confident, and looking and feeling good, you can comment down below. My Instagram is linked, so you can go follow the page, see the discipline in real life every single day. And remember, always be evolving, always be growing yourself. And there's not going to be a day where that is not something you have to do, right? Adapt this mindset, adapt this lifestyle, and I promise you will be 1,000 times happier, healthier, and your outcome will be more effective and positive, all right? Thank you guys for watching, and have a great night.